are we leaving out in the conversation? When I want to say thank you so much for all you're doing, continue to amplify the voices of those who are marginalized, and now, kill the bill! Kill the bill! No justice! No justice! No justice! No racist! No racist bill too. Thank you so much. My name is Marvina Newton from Kill the Bill Official and United for Black Lives. Thank you.
Make some noise! Whoa! I'm about to introduce our next speaker. Is William from End Violence and Racism Against East and Southeast Asian Communities. Please give him a loud welcome. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is V. I'm this is the biggest crowd, most energetic crowd I've ever seen in my life. It's the first big protest I've actually attended. And I'm not a natural activist, I'm not a natural speaker even, but you could probably say I've been a bit inspired. Right? So, sorry, look, I've grown up the son of a refugee mother. Yeah, I'm a proud ethnic minority as well. And, well, many feel we've got the same lived experience of feeling invisibilized. And to all my East and Southeast Asian friends as well, thank you for being here. And for those who aren't here, I'm not going to judge or criticize your empathy or capacity to care. But at this point in time, there's a point where I can't stay silent anymore. Seeing crowds and protests like this, there's a energy inside that I can't deny. And if you're like me, you're tired of being invisibilized in this community, from the defensive violence by the East and Southeast Asian community to the rising racism that the East and Southeast Asian community has felt this year and the past 2 years. At this point in time, we can rise up, and as many of you know, this racist bill will take citizenship away without notice. And that's not just unethical and lawful, that's just downright disrespectful to people like me and you as well. It will criminalize asylum seekers, creating this two-tier system of citizenship. And again, that's just downright disrespectful for many of us. And there's a point where this frustration just boils over, and now we're standing to be saying something. Because what is citizenship? The thing I do know about is the legal jargon behind what citizenship and nationality is. Citizenship is this: it's a community. We build that community. So this coalition here, it's a community of strength. It's the essence of what meaningful citizenship actually is. So this bill is something that attacks the core of meaningful citizenship. And we've had enough, right? We've just had enough. So the powers that allow the state to shape the contours of citizenry, that's a power that represents this fear of community. It's a power play born from the insecurity of strength found in community, like in coalitions like this one. And this is our community here and now. It's open, it's inclusive, from those escaping violence to new arrivals from Hong Kong, to Rohingya and Myanmar, to the Uyghurs, to... We're watching a war play out in real time on our phones. And if this bill passes, there's not just things of refugee visa for people to enter legally anymore. It doesn't make sense. So, from all these different communities who live under the states who are leveraging their power to shape these contours of citizenry, we've had enough. And the East and Southeast Asian community are here as well. And thank you for welcoming us into this coalition. Thank you.
A fantastic emotional contribution from Brother V. And we do welcome you and your community to our coalition. Listen, while we're fighting for our communities in this country, we also have to remember our communities abroad. So when I say, from the river to the sea, come on people, we're sending solidarity to Palestine. Here we go. From the river to the sea,
Palestine will be free!
from the river to the sea,
Palestine will be free!
free, free,
Palestine!
free, free,
Palestine!
free, free.
Palestine!
You know why I make these chances? Because, yes brother, why I make these chances? Because the next group speaking have been soldiers in the fight for the freedom of Palestinians. So, he needs no introduction. This is Mike Cushman from Jewish Voice for Labour. Make some noise!
Shalom alaikum and shalom. I see all these flags saying kill the bill, but they're not enough. They should be saying kill the bills, because this is only one of many bills being pushed through that house over there that are going to undermine the rights of you and me and everybody in this country. The police bill, the courts bill, the judicial review bill, your tax on the Human Rights Act, they're all part of the same attack on us as citizens, as human beings. Now we're here today, both for those who are here and for those who want to be here, because they're attacks on all of us. If you're here, they're trying to take away your right to British citizenship. And if you're not here, they're saying, don't come. You're not welcome. But I say they're wrong, because you are welcome. But all these attacks flow from a racist, nativist view of who belongs in Britain, or more particularly, who belongs in England, because they're petty English nationalists. Why are Jewish Voice Labour here? Because we stand with you all, but because the members of Jewish Voice for Labour are all the children and grandchildren of refugees. Your issues are our issues. My grandparents arrived in this country at the beginning of the last century. And what did they do in there? They passed the 1905 Aliens Act to stop these poor Jews coming to Britain to protect themselves from the pogroms of Eastern Europe, from Poland, from the Ukraine, from Russia. And of course, who passed the 1905 Aliens Act? Arthur Balfour, the same guy who signed the Balfour Declaration to undermine the rights of the Palestinians to live in their own country. It's all one struggle. So we have to oppose the Nationality and Borders Bill and the whole raft of legislation it rests on, because much of the danger in NAB is not new. It goes back to previous laws. In particular, it goes back to one of the first acts of the Thatcher government in 1981, the Nationality Act. The 1981 Nationality Act said, if you have a right to a nationality other than English, then you can have your British nationality taken away from you. Now, this might not be a real right. It might be an illusory right. Samina Begum stuck in a refugee camp in Syria because they said, these people said she had the right to a Bangladeshi citizenship. Bangladesh said no, but that was no use. The fact that she had no right to a Bangladeshi citizenship didn't matter, because they said that she might have a right and therefore they could strip her of her British citizenship. We're all in danger. And I'm in danger as a British Jew, because Israel says, without asking me, as a result of Israeli law, that I have the right to make aliyah, to go to Israel and claim Israeli citizenship. Now, I don't want that. The Israelis don't want me. But it means, like every Jew in this country, we are liable to have our nationality, our citizenship stripped from us. And where are the so-called leadership bodies of the Jewish community standing up for their brothers and sisters? They're absent because they only want to look after themselves. They don't care about wider solidarity, the solidarity that protects them. So it's not just South Asians, although they're the particular target. It's everybody who, after Brexit, might have the right to take up a German or an Italian or a Polish citizenship. They also stand to lose their British citizenship. What? Oh, I Okay, I'm sorry, I've spoken for too long. I'll just say one more thing. We say kill the bill. We kill the bill because the bill kills people. It murders the people on the boats. It murders the people who commit suicide from depression, from being locked up in Yarl's Wood. So kill the bill. Save people. Humanity now.
Make some noise for Mike Cushman! Now, I want you guys to get hyped up. I want to make sure that Boris Johnson in Downing Street can hear us. I want to make sure Priti Patel in the Home Office, if she's there or wherever she is, can hear us, right? And I want us to make a stand. I want us to remind ourselves and everyone that we're here because we're standing up and we're fighting back. So when I say, when refugees are under attack, what do we do? I want you to say, stand up, fight back. Are you with me? When refugees are under attack, what do we do? When black people are under attack, what do we do? When Muslims are under attack, what do we do? When our citizenship is under attack, what do we do? When democracy is under attack, what do we do? When refugees are under attack, what do we do? When our rights are under attack, as loud as you can, what do we do? Amazing. Thank you, everyone. I'm proud to introduce our next speaker is Ahmed Hussein from the Muslim Public Affairs Committee. Make some noise!
Assalamu alaikum, peace be upon you all. My name is Ahmed Hussein from Impact UK. So the march started outside the Home Office and now here we are outside of Parliament. It's in these spaces where they set the rules that affect all of our lives. But everyone who is here right now, I want you to look around yourselves, genuinely. Look around you right now. We are black and white. We are young and old. We are migrants and natives. We are Britain. And they think they have power because they make the rules. The truth is that we give them power by following their rules. Civil society needs rules, yes. But what if the rules are uncivil? Then the civil thing to do is to disobey. Civil disobedience. The reason you're here today is because you know how vile this nationality and borders bill is. You know that this bigoted government is enabling such bigoted bills to pass in the first place. You know that this bill and others are going to disrupt and even destroy our lives. If this lot are so willing to disrupt your peace, why can't we disrupt theirs? Listen, when Impact UK co-founded this coalition against this specific bill, it's because we realised that fighting one single piece of legislation, it wouldn't be enough to fight it once. It wouldn't be enough to fight just one minister. This fight is against this entire government and every MP that is enabling their bigotry. We co-founded this coalition because we knew this would be the fight of our lives. That the fight would take every concerned person who lives in this country to send a message. And the message to those MPs is clear. Our rallies are your opportunity to show who you really are. There's nowhere to hide for you. And we are taking names because we've had enough of you. And my message to all of you, all of my friends and my family, my brethren who are here, my message to you is this. Our lives are going to be disrupted. The only question that matters is this. Listen. On whose terms? Will you let it be on their terms? Will you let it be on their terms? With a boot through the door and a notice in hand, signed personally by Priti Patel, or will it be on your own terms, with your head held high, giving using everything we've got to preserve the peace that we've built, that our community's built. Us, not them. We need to organise against this bill, and in doing so, we will organise against the bigotry that built it in the first place. Don't wait until you've got home. As you're leaving here today, get in touch with every organisation that you're a part of. Get them involved with the coalition. And if you're not part of an organisation, find one you like. There are so many here, and join in. Specifically to the Muslims, you've got us, you've got Impact UK. You've got fantastic organisations like Page and Men and Friends of Al-Aqsa and MAB and MCB. What you don't have is you don't have an excuse. You might want to stick your head in the sand, but that just exposes the target on your back. No justice! No justice! No justice! You have been won! Yeah, sorry.
Testing. That was a nice bit of fire there. Thank you very much, brother. Can you hear me? It doesn't sound so loud. Listen, I want to give a massive shout out to the Birmingham Sikh community who came down here on coach today and are travelling back soon. So everybody, send some solidarity to the Sikh community. Our next speaker, listen, we've got some nice treats for you this afternoon. Our next speaker is Sabi Dalu from Stand Up to Racism. Make some noise!
Thank you so much, Celia, and thank you everyone for organising. Thank you. All right, thanks very much. All right, thank you. So thanks very much for organising today's demonstration, and well done to all of you for coming here today. And I too want to say a special shout out to the Sikh community here, because I'm from a Sikh background, and it's really great to see my uncles, aunties, brothers and sisters here today, as well as the Muslim communities, Jewish communities, socialists, trade unions and others. It's really good to have a diverse turnout. So my message here is simple. We have got to scrap the Nationality and Borders Bill, and we have to fight for that, because that bill will undermine refugee and asylum rights, and it undermines all of our citizenship rights. Every single one of us could have our nationality, our British nationality, removed from us simply for being on demonstrations like this. So we have got to stand up to this very grotesque attack on our basic fundamental human rights. I want to say another thing, which is it's difficult to stand here without referencing the tragic situation in Ukraine. And I want to say that there has been some very disturbing footage of black people in Ukraine being prevented from boarding trains to go and flee and seek asylum. Now, we cannot have a situation where Europe says white refugees are okay, but black refugees are not. That is completely and utterly racist and unacceptable. We have to fight for everybody's right to seek asylum here, whether you're black, whether you're white, whether you're Muslim, Jewish, Sikh, Hindu, whatever your background, you should have a right to seek asylum. So, and the problem with this bill is that it fundamentally threatens people's right to seek asylum, and it will lead to more refugees tragically and horrifically and outrageously drowning in the sea. And it will lead to another Windrush scandal. And we've got to say no. We cannot have hard-working black people, Asian people, Jewish people and others whose blood and sweat and tears this country was built on. We cannot have them wrongfully deported again. After the Windrush scandal, everyone said never again, it can't happen. But this bill will make it more likely to happen. So we've got to stand up and say no to another Windrush and say refugees welcome here. Thank you. And my final message is join us on the street on Saturday the 19th of March in London. Join us, assemble at BBC Portland Place, because we will be marching against racism in our thousands, and we will be saying scrap the Nationality and Borders Bill. So please join us. Thank you. Solidarity.
Make some noise for Sabi. And make some noise if you're going to be in the streets on the 19th of March. That's what we like to hear. Now, our next speaker has come from Birmingham. His name is Mohammed Soleimani from the Birmingham Kashmiris, and he's been organizing the resistance and the movement against
Thank you very much. Do we still have some Kill them! Okay, yeah, you still have some Listen, I'm delighted that we've got some trade union support here. And we've got Stuart Richardson that's come all the way from Birmingham TUC and Stop the War. So please give him a very, very warm welcome. Stuart Richardson, everybody!
I'm Stuart Richardson. I'm the Secretary of Stop the War Coalition in Birmingham, and I'm the Treasurer of the local campaign that we've just established in Birmingham to pursue this campaign. I think a lot of people have talked about general themes of asylum seekers, etc., but I think there's a new danger in the situation. We're in a situation of war. And in a situation of war, people get rather hysterical and get threaten people who make legitimate discussion. And I think it's quite possible in the next period that certain people will be identified as Russian agents, etc., and they should have their citizenship withdrawn. Fortunately, I personally won't be in that situation because I don't have a foreign-born parent. But there are many people here who will have that situation. And I think we see the background of this in a terrible way in which the Tories are not calling for the banning of RT, but the Labour Party is. The Labour Party is threatening its MPs who are making relatively mild criticisms of NATO. We say in Stop the War, stop the expansion of NATO as a minimum. And that is the basis for people being kicked out of the Labour Party, or threatened with being kicked out of the Labour Party. You know, there's an extraordinary situation. The young people in the Labour Party making critical comments and supporting Stop the War statements and supporting the demand, stop the expansion of NATO, which has provoked partly that situation, having their conference closed down. Of course, none of that means that the invasion of Ukraine is justified at all. We must condemn that, and we must say there should be immediate withdrawal, and that the Ukrainian people should democratically decide their own future. But they should decide their own future with equality. One of the problems in Ukraine is that minorities, ethnic minorities, Russian-speaking, have suffered repression, and they have had their parties banned. I'm just finished with this. We live in a world of great lies. They say they're fighting for democracy and freedom in Ukraine. How can you do that when the Communist Party, which I'm not a supporter of, is banned in Ukraine? How can you do that when a separatist party in East Ukraine was banned in 2008? They are not fighting for democracy. They're fighting for a repressive regime in Ukraine, as there is a repressive regime sorry. Just finally, I think there should be a correction about the Sikh community. I believe the Sikh community brought 2 or 3 coaches from Birmingham, whereas the rest of us only brought 1. So we must congratulate the Sikh community in their militancy and their activity, and hope we can continue this battle together. Thank you.
Thank you, Stuart. Now, our next speaker is someone who I'm proud to introduce, is someone who I've known for many years and who has been a tireless campaigner against our government's attacks on Muslim people, our government's warmongering, our government's support for the oppression of the Palestinian people. Please put your hands together for Masood Shajara from the Islamic Human Rights Commission.
Sisters, brothers, comrades, all of you who stand for justice for all, I commend you. I really I'm so delighted that to see all of you from different backgrounds, from Sikh community, Christian community, Muslims, people who are consider themselves as a secular background, coming together because we understand this bill and we understand how damaging it is. In reality, I have to say, unfortunately, the fact that we didn't do anything about this similar bill in 2007 is the reason that we are here now. We have allowed this government, and indeed other governments, to demonize, to divide us, to create organization, and therefore undermine their responsibility to create a just society for all of us, but putting us against one another and giving the impression that by demonizing people of different color or people from Europe, they are resolving the issues and the problems of economic, social, housing, etc. of us, which is really, this is an illusion. Removing our citizenship, creating second-class citizenship by just the signature of the minister and then putting it into a drawer and forgetting about it. It actually is a first step towards genocide and ethnic cleansing. Look what has happened when people have been denied their citizenship, when they were denied that they are equal citizens with others. We are seeing the same disease that was in Myanmar, what happened in Bosnia, what is now taking roots in India. We need to stand up, not just for us and our children, but for the whole society. When and wherever these sort of citizenship classes were created, not only those who were immediate victims suffered, but the whole society has suffered. Look what happened in Nazi Germany. Look what happened in Bosnia. Look what is happening in other parts of the world, like Myanmar. Who could happen in India? There will be disaster. There will be bloodshed. And it will affect everyone. The other point I want to remind you and remind myself, we seem to have a sort of a short memory. We go through these actions of the government, be it the Brexit, be it other bills which actually demonize and second-class people, but we forget after 6 months. But they are continuing. We should connect the dots, and we need to understand which direction is going, and we need to stand up. Even if we weren't successful to stop this bill, we should not give up. we should actually stand up until justice prevails for all of us. Sorry.
Okay, some more chanting. Kill, kill, kill. Kill, kill, kill. Kill, kill, kill. Okay, you're still there, you're still there. Listen, it gives me great pleasure to welcome my sister from the Black Lives Matter Coalition. Give it up for Adrian Watson!
Hiya, good afternoon everyone. This racist nationality and borders bill has to be defeated. It's the most racist bill that has come from this racist government, and it's a disgrace. When I first read Clause 9 of the NABB, my heart sank, because it is so much worse than Windrush. Black communities and our allies are still campaigning for Windrush victims to receive compensation for the racism and the white supremacy that was inflicted on them by this government. Most of the victims haven't received a penny of compensation yet. We thought Windrush was the worst it could get, a government willfully refusing to give British people their citizenship. Now it's even worse. Clause 9 says they plan to strip British people of their citizenship. This is horrendous and it cannot be allowed to pass. This bill highlights the fact even more that those of us, like myself, who were born here, but we have parents born elsewhere, are second-class citizens. We cannot let this happen, and we refuse to let this happen. But what fills me with hope today is seeing all of us standing here together, side by side, brothers and sisters. The people united can never be defeated. The people united can never be defeated. Solidarity will win every time, and that's something they don't have. We are here today in solidarity with all communities that can be affected by this bill. And if we continue to join forces and represent all communities, then we will win this fight against racism. And we will win this fight against Boris Johnson and his vile sidekick, Priti Patel. Solidarity, everyone.
Oh, we've got a nice treat here. This is a surprise. Now we've got our very own Shabir Laka from Stop the War. Give him a round of applause.
Thank you very much, Dee. I forgot to introduce myself at the beginning. I'm Shabir, I'm an officer of the Stop the War Coalition. And you'll all have seen the headlines around the situation in Ukraine, and I thought it was important that we come here today to bring our solidarity. And what we're seeing in Ukraine is, with the Russian invasion, is horrific, and we send our solidarity to the people of Ukraine. In recent weeks, those of us who have argued against war have been under sustained attack from the government, from the Labour leadership, from the media. So for those who are determined to misrepresent Stop the War's position, let me reiterate in clear terms what we have said, and that is that Russia is wrong and that we call for the withdrawal from Ukraine. In addition to this, we recognize the role of NATO in creating this crisis. Anyone who claims that criticizing NATO is equivalent to support for Putin, or who pretends that NATO is blameless, deliberately wants us to view this situation in isolation and forget the aggression and the expansionism of NATO. To forget that it was NATO that ravaged Afghanistan and Libya. To forget that it was NATO countries that destroyed Iraq and Syria. That it is NATO countries that are facilitating the destruction of Yemen, and that it is NATO warships that are currently patrolling the Mediterranean Sea to stop refugees from crossing. And it was NATO, in contravention to the promises made in the 90s, that has routinely expanded throughout Eastern Europe. And to say this is not whataboutery or equivocation. It is recognizing that NATO's actions, its existence as an imperialist organization, which was created to maintain US and its allies' control in the world, has paved the way to this moment. These things are not separate. A CNBC reporter yesterday exclaimed that this is happening in Europe, in a civilized place, not like Afghanistan and Iraq. The same people praising those who are taking up arms in Ukraine are the ones who justify the brutal oppression of the Palestinian people for throwing stones. The Polish far-right government says it will gladly, with open arms, accept Ukrainian refugees while Iraqi and Afghan refugees freeze to death on its borders. This is a mass operation in trying to manipulate our solidarity with Ukraine and our righteous condemnation of Russia to forget and to justify racist imperialist actions of our own government. And that's why it's important today on this demonstration against the Nationality and Borders Bill, which will further criminalize refugees and which will stop Ukrainian refugees from getting here and will be used by our government to violate international law in pushing them back. Because this bill, together with the police and crime bill, will be used to criminalize our right to protest against their warmongering. For those of us who dare to speak out, who are ethnic minorities, we are threatened with deportation. Already, a Tory MP has said that the Treason Act needs to be updated for people like us. And so let us bear witness this hypocrisy. And I stand in awe with the Russian anti-war activists who are taking to the streets to protest their government. But while our government praised those over there, sorry, I'm wrapping up. While our government praised those over there, they demonize anti-war activists here. So let's be clear in our solidarity with Ukrainian people, in our opposition to war, and in our opposition to our government's draconian policies aimed at curbing our civil rights with this draconian legislation. On Wednesday evening, Stop the War has a rally at Conway Hall. I hope to see everyone there. And I hope to see everyone on the streets next Saturday for the People's Assembly demonstrations, because this is all connected. And we have to bring the kind of mass resistance that can stop our government, stop their war on the working people of this country and on their war on the people abroad. Solidarity.
Okay. Anybody want to hear from Jeremy Corbyn? No, come on, he's not going to come. If that's all he's going to get, he's not going to come. I said, does anybody want to hear from Jeremy Corbyn? Okay, he's going to be here in about 6 minutes. Until then, we've got... Go for it. I love that song. It's a lovely song. So until then, we've got our next speaker, who is Abdul Rahman from the Muslim Society of Britain.
Assalamu alaikum. Friends, my name is Abdul Rahman from the Muslim Association of Britain, MAB. And just before we start, I know there's been a couple of speeches, so let's hype it up a bit, yeah? Alright, we'll start a bit low with the volume, and then we'll just keep it higher, so everyone can hear us, yeah? Kill the bill. 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 I want to hear everyone. Kill the bill. Kill. I'm seeing people staring. Carry on, come on. Kill the bill. Kill the bill. Alright. Hey, I'm top in a bit of energy, I love it. Alright, friends. We have petitioned. We have lobbied. We have protested. We have made phone calls. We've written letters. We've spoken to friends. We've spoken to strangers about this. But why? Because this is an unjust and racist bill. Are we second-class citizens? Are we? Are our children second-class citizens? Will our children's children be second-class citizens? Friends, this march is the next step on our road to dismantling all the racist laws that they try to demean and devalue us with. The next step is back in that building. Let this be a reminder that MPs are in there because of our public vote. It's the public and popular vote that gets MPs in there. Let's make those phone calls. Let's write those letters and lobby and purge our society from the colonial racist past that somehow it keeps holding on to. A message for the MPs. Vote it down. Kill the bill, or history will vote you out. Let's make them hear us today. In their homes, wherever they are. We start again low, and then we go up. What do we want? When do we want it? What do we want? When do we want it? What do we want? When do we want it? What do we want? When do we want it? Thank you very much.
Make some noise! I'm really proud of all of you for staying here, for standing here. It's a lovely day, but it's not easy work. So well done to all of you. Make some noise for yourselves! I'm proud to introduce our next speaker is Dabinderjeet Singh, who's a principal advisor of the Sikh Federation. Give it up.
I'm British. I was born in this country. And how dare the UK government threaten people like me and people like you by taking away your right to be British. This is a fight for all of us. For 20 years, there have been laws that have denied people and taken away their nationality. I don't know what that number is, but when we look at our own community, we know that not a single Sikh to date has had their nationality taken away. However, why are Sikhs here today? Because our gurus taught us to stand up for human rights for all. However, the current Home Secretary, Priti Patel, on the birth of Guru Nanak Dev Ji, in a speech in Washington, D.C., talks about today in the British Parliament, I am banning Hamas. I'm banning their political wing. She talked about 4 right-wing groups that have been banned. And she said, and we're concerned about Sikh separatists in recent times. For 3 months, not a single Conservative MP or minister has been able to point towards what have British Sikhs done in this country, that she would go to Washington, D.C. on the birth of our first guru and call us effectively terrorists. That's why all of us have seen in recent times we cannot trust the people over there. They do not respect the law. We cannot trust them that they will do the right thing. All of us are interested in security and our well-being. However, as one person wrote, we're not going to write a blank check for Priti Patel. She doesn't know what she's going to write on there. We don't know which government is going to ask her to put something down on there. But every single person, every law-abiding person is under threat by this law, this bill, and also the people are going to implement it. That's our problem. We are raising our voices. We may not be able to stop this bill. We may not be able to kill the bill. But the people over there have heard. The Scottish Parliament, the Welsh Parliament have voted down this bill. Dr. Avgar Singh Sota, London Assembly a member, has passed a motion in the London Assembly condemning this bill. The voice has been heard of the people. I finish with a battle cry the Sikhs have always had. We've died for this country in the First World and the Second World War, and we will not simply allow people to take away our nationality. And I'll finish with that battle cry. Bole Sonia Sasriya.
I love that. I love that battle cry. Listen, our next speaker. Go on, keep going. We're done? Okay, good. So our next speaker, can we move that microphone away from the sound system, please, brother? Our next speaker is Zita Holborn from Barrack, UK. Give her a round of applause. Greetings, everybody. Solidarity. I'm actually going to be speaking for 3 organisations because a couple of people, because of family emergencies, can't be here from 2 other organisations I represent. So I'm bringing solidarity from my organisation, Barrack UK, from another one of my organisations, African, Caribbean and Asian Lawyers for Justice. And also we were due to have Wilf Sullivan, who's the Trade Union Congress TUC Race Equality Officer. And he has a family emergency, so he can't be here. And it's important actually to bring a message of solidarity from the TUC, because the TUC represent most national trade unions in the UK, and they represent 5.5 million workers. And this Nationality and Borders Bill is an issue for us as community organisations, as human rights organisations, but also as workers and trade unionists. 6 million people, up to 6 million people, could be impacted by this bill in terms of the Clause 9, which wants to revoke citizenship. And amongst those people that could be impacted are people who were not born in the UK, and people who were born in the UK, but have a parent that wasn't born in the UK. So that means that of those 5.5 million trade union members in the UK, that will include a large proportion of those members. The UK is a country built on migrant labour, built up by migrant communities who have come here not just in the last few decades, but for centuries. And that includes the Windrush generation who came in the 1950s and 60s, and both ACAL for Justice and Barrack UK have been campaigning for Windrush justice way before there was something termed as the Windrush scandal, warning that the amendments to the Immigration Act in 2012 were going to cause this apartheid-like state in the UK and divide and rule of communities. We need to stand up against Clause 9, but we also need to stand up against all the other aspects of the bill which target people who are survivors of human trafficking, which target refugees. Many people have come to the country as refugees, but many refugees and migrants in this country are scapegoated by the government in terms of their austerity programme, blamed for the lack of jobs and the lack of housing, to take away the focus on themselves and their own failures. And we need to challenge that and stand up to that. Because if it wasn't for migrant labour, the economy of this country would collapse in seconds. The country couldn't survive. All through the pandemic, it was migrant workers that kept essential services running. And we should be proud to welcome refugees to this country. Because without them, the country would be pretty boring in terms of culture, not just the labour market. We have injected our cultures into this country and made Britain great. We're the ones that have put great in Great Britain. So solidarity, stand against the bill, stand up for our rights, stand up for your neighbours, stand up for your colleagues, and stand together in unity against this bill. Kill the bill! Kill the bill! Kill the bill!
Make some noise for Zita. So our next speaker is the Assistant General Secretary of the PCS Union, who, if you didn't know, are taking Priti Patel to court to stop her from sending refugees back. So please make some noise for John Maloney.
I'll give you greetings from the PCS Union, which, as the brother has said, is actually currently in court against the pushback that Priti Patel wants to introduce. You've probably heard of what the pushback is, and that is actually saying to our members who work in the border force that if you see a group of refugees in a leaky or sinking ship or boat, your judgment is Can you drag them back to France? It's inhuman, it breaks international laws, and we're opposed to it, as everybody should be opposed to it. We're opposed, as all the trade union movement is, against this bill, but all the multitude of other bills which are deliberately designed to undermine our rights to vote, our right to protest, our right to have dissent in this country. And as others have said, that people have also started to say, should we extend the treason bill to actually start to stop further dissent in this country? We're on a very slippery road, brothers and sisters, that part of what we have to do is kill this bill and kill all the other bills. But we have to be also clear that even if we kill this bill, the current situation is awful, as it is hypocrisy. So we have the hypocrisy situation where people say we should stand with Ukraine, as clearly we should. We should help the Ukrainians, as clearly we should. But if you then say, can we actually accept Ukrainian refugees in this country, this government says, no, you can't, without a visa. And of course, as the brother has said earlier, when they talk about Ukrainians, they only talk about the white people in Ukraine, not the black people who've been warehoused in that country trying to get entry into the European Union, not for months, but sometimes for years. But it's also full of hypocrisy in that they actually say that they care for the people who cross the channel, but they still want the pushback. They still, and some MPs have actually said this, Tory MPs, that the more people who die, the better a deterrent it is for people to cross. In other words, people will see that it actually literally is deadly, and some Tory MPs welcome that. And obviously, the current system is completely underpinned by racism. It's actually about who should be in this country and who shouldn't be. So let's oppose this. I'll come to an end on this. My union has a policy of free movement. In other words, we want to abolish all the immigration laws. We believe firmly, and I'll finish on this, that all refugees are welcome here. So let's end on a shout. All refugees are welcome here. Thank you, brothers and sisters.
Thank you, John. Now, as they say, good things come to people who wait. So I'm proud to announce that shortly we'll be joined by Jeremy Corbyn. You already knew that, but still. But before we get here, let's do a bit of chanting. Let's make sure. But before we do some chanting, I'm proud to introduce Naomi Winborn-Idrisi from Jewish Voice for Labour, who's going to read a statement from Ian Hudson, the president of the Bakers Union.
Hi comrades, I'm really proud to have this message from Ian Hudson. It's really good, so listen up, okay? The cry for solidarity has never been more needed. Europe is in crisis with war on the horizon, and when we need humanity, we are faced with a political onslaught by politicians seeking to destroy what freedoms we have. The attacks on trade unions, the removal of the right to protest, the imprisonment of Assange for exposing the truth of what our political leaders were doing show a deep crisis at the heart of our so-called democracy. A government intent on using patriotism and fear to create division in our society will not bring about an ending of the hardship so many suffer in our society. And the racist Nationality and Borders Bill will just create further anxiety in already marginalised communities across the UK. Now is the time for people to say no to a political class that has become drunk on power. Neither the current government nor the opposition have provided the real leadership we need. Our history shows it is when we stand together, real change happens. It's when we understand it's our unity that makes us strong, and what they fear most of all, which is why they are using their levers of power to restrict us. We should be under no illusion. It has never been other poor families that have led to our hardship. Poverty, be it food, energy or housing, is a political choice. And if we want to make sure we build a fairer future for all, then like any change, it needs all our involvement. Real democracy, Ian Hudson of the Bakers Union says, is not a spectator sport. It's an inclusive activity that needs all our energies. Support the demonstration against the divisive Nationality and Borders Bill. Thank you, Ian. Thanks, everybody.
Are you ready to shout? Say it loud, say it clear. Refugees are welcome here. Say it loud, say it clear.
Refugees are welcome here.
Say it loud, say it clear.
Refugees are welcome here.
Say it loud, say it clear.
Refugees are welcome here.
Say it loud, say it clear.
Refugees are welcome here.
Say it loud, say it clear.
Refugees are welcome here.
Say it loud, say it clear.
Refugees are welcome here.
Say it loud, say it clear.
Refugees are welcome here.
We are unstoppable. Another world is possible. We are unstoppable.
Another world is possible.
We are unstoppable.
Another world is possible.
We are unstoppable.
Another world is possible.
We are unstoppable.
Another world is possible.
We are unstoppable.
Another world is possible.
No borders, no nations. Stop deportations. No borders, no nations.
Stop deportation.
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 And let me say, Priti Patel, shame on you. Priti Patel.
Shame on you.
Priti Patel.
Shame on you.
Boris Johnson.
Shame on you.
Priti Patel.
Shame on you.
Keir Starmer.
Shame on you.
Priti Patel.
Shame on you.
Boris Johnson.
Shame on you.
Sajid Javid.
Shame on you.
Priti Patel.
Shame on you.
Rishi Sunak.
Shame on you.
Priti Patel.
Shame on you.
Boris Johnson.
Shame on you.
Priti Patel.
Shame on you.
Make some noise for yourselves.
Brothers and sisters, hello, hello. How are you today? It's lovely and sunny. What a great day to support human rights, isn't it? Such a good day for it. Right, we're here for a reason. We're here to say that we want to kill the bill. Why do we want to kill the bill? This bill violates our human rights. Not just us here, because we are pretty privileged. We're talking about the people who are going to be coming into this country seeking refugee. We want to kill this bill. Kill, kill, kill the bill.
Kill, kill, kill the bill.
I'm told that I need to introduce myself. Hello, one and all. My name is Latifa. I'm a teacher, hence the loud and proud attitude. I am representing the Islamic Human Rights Commission. We are here to protect the people who are brave enough to stand and protest, people who are taking time out of their day to come here and to demonstrate their solidarity with refugees. And we are so proud to be working alongside such amazing organisations like Black Lives Matter, like the UK Sikh Council, like Stop the War Coalition, Kill the Bill, Jewish Voice for Labour, Friends of Al-Aqsa, and I'm sure I'm missing a few out. I apologise if I am, but you know, these organisations working together, this is what it's about. Solidarity on all platforms, on all issues. So a huge shout out, please, to all these organisations. All right, come on, you can do better. You can do better. Excellent, thank you, I appreciate it. So I'm going to lead a few chants. The person coming after me is Jeremy Corbyn. Okay, you didn't hear me over there. Hello on the streets. We're waiting for Jeremy Corbyn. Why don't you come over and support human rights? Don't you want to meet him? He's going to be here in 5 minutes. Jeremy Corbyn. Oh, don't do that. That was a full pantomime moment. Someone told me he's here. Oh, Jeremy Corbyn. Oh, Jeremy Corbyn. So we know a lot about him. He has spent his life fighting for human rights. He is the most amazing anti-racist activist, a huge role model for all of us. Me personally, when I first came to this country, myself, I am an immigrant. I am a Palestinian. I came to this country when I was 8 years old. I couldn't live in Palestine. I'm not even allowed to enter my homeland. I'm not allowed to go back. I don't have the right to return. And I know that there are lots of people out there today who are in a similar position. They are unable to go back to their homeland. Their homeland is plagued with war. Their homeland is plagued with people who are taking away their rights and making it completely unsafe for them to live there with their families. My family came here in 1998. Since I've been in this country, I've been able to get an education. I've been able to get a law degree. I've been able to come now and stand in front of you and fight for other people's human rights. And I'm very grateful, not for the government who did this to my own country, but to the people, to the trade unions who stood by the immigrants and the refugees. Jeremy's here, guys. It is my honor to say hello, Jeremy Corbyn. Oh, Jeremy Corbyn. Oh, Jeremy Corbyn. Okay, a man who needs no introduction.
Thank you very much. Sorry to be the last to arrive. It's been quite a busy day. First of all, thank you all for being here, for marching against the Borders and Nationality Bill, marching for human rights, marching for justice, and marching for peace. And it's something really weird about our Home Secretary, who suddenly has a conversion to the human rights cause in certain parts of the world, is about to deny the human rights of several million people in this country by giving herself the powers to take away their nationality, even though they've been resident in this country, in some cases, all of their lives. There's something deeply disgusting and frightening about this particular piece of legislation. But it also plays into a media narrative that everyone here utterly condemns what's happening in Ukraine, utterly condemns the war that's going on and the occupation and the killing that goes with it. We all do that. I also equally condemn the occupation and the killing that's going on in Yemen and other places as well, because we have to have some consistency in our opinions on this. But the racism that's now appearing, so far as refugees are concerned, appears to be that those African people that have been living in the Ukraine, studying, working there, are being denied the ability to leave the country, refused entry to Poland and other places, racism played out day after day, where it's simply saying that this is a war in Europe about Europe. No, it's a war, it's wrong, and if a war is wrong, then you look to save all human life, whoever they are, wherever they come from. And so when this piece of legislation comes back to the House of Commons for its final decisions, there'll be a number of us making the strongest possible points that we can about the rights of communities in this country, but also the rights of refugees and people seeking asylum and a place of safety. And I say this because I think that some people get caught up in the immediacy and the excitement and the fog of war without ever thinking for a moment what happens a bit further down the line. Parliament voted to support the war in Afghanistan in 2001, voted to support the war in Iraq in 2003, voted to bomb Libya, voted to bomb Syria. Easy in Parliament. It's very easy to vote for somebody else's children to go and die or be killed. Very easy to do that without thinking of what the long-term consequences are. How many people are now living in the most desperate poverty and starvation in Afghanistan and seeking a place of safety somewhere in the world? How many are on some horrible journey all across Europe to try and get to a place of safety? And we know each other, it's okay, just away from the crowd. Get to a place of safety in order to survive. And around the world there are 70 million refugees. They're all victims of something. War, famine, poverty, human rights abuses, many things. But they all want to make a contribution to our world. And so the idea that we put the Navy into the channel to stop refugees arriving in this country, then call ourselves a traditional home and place of sanctuary for refugees from around the world is frankly illogical, dishonest nonsense. What we should be doing is saying that we will be supportive of those people seeking a place of safety. We will not be prosecuting those that risk their lives to save the lives of others, such as people in the Royal National Lifeboat Institution or other organisations and we'll open our hearts and homes to refugees from around the world. This bill is a nasty, dangerous step down the road to xenophobia, down the road to more racism, down the road to discrimination against people that have made such a massive contribution to our community, our country and our society. The one thing that gives me some hope in the current period, and there's not a lot of hope around, is the strength of opposition to this, the strength of opposition to the police bill, the strength of opposition to the new wave of austerity, and around the world the growth of support for the principles around Black Lives Matters, so that we begin to reassess the colonial history, the colonial experience, begin to understand why the world is the way it is. Once we understand why it is, we can do something about changing it into that better place. But in the meantime, let's work on some principles. Human rights, ability to survive, anti-racism, and the ability to express yourself in your own community, in your own language. And so those that have campaigned so vociferously against this bill, brilliant. Those in Hastings and other places that have made refugees welcome, Kent and many other parts of the country have made people welcome, well done and thank you, because we are the voice of humanity, of decency, of hope, and above all, of peace. Bombs don't solve the world's problems. Dialogue, understanding, and peace brings it about. And the consequences of war are there to be seen with the immediate destruction, and then the decades and decades later, the mental health problems, the bitterness, the hatred, the refugee flows. That is the consequences of war. Our job is to make our society welcoming to those that are victims of war, but above all a society that is a force for peace and justice in this world, not a force for armaments, arms, war and hatred. Thank you very much.
keep chanting. In the meanwhile, let me hear you say, kill, kill, kill the bill, kill, 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 kill. Say it loud, say it clear. 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 Make some noise. Thank you everyone for coming out here today. Let's keep taking to the streets. Let's keep organizing. Let's keep protesting. I'll see you all next week on Saturday at the People's Assembly demonstration and every other demonstration we need to have to stop our racist government. Solidarity.
And before we run off, I want to say thank you to all of the organisers. Rayla, give her a round of applause, everybody. Can you give a wave? She's